There's a lot of people on the streets now that have mental illness that you just don't know.
Especially girls in Ubers.
Of violence would want to have a safer option to help them get where they need to go.
I just feel like it's overall like a more safer feeling for women who especially are going alone at night.
Around midnight, I may choose a woman driver.
So, on Women's Day, Uber decided to roll out their women's only option nationally. Now, there's two questions I'm trying to figure out. Was this a good idea, and who's really being discriminated against here? For some context, the option has been out for a while, just not nationwide. Originally, they piloted it in 5 different cities. Uber's framing it as a safety push that also acts as a competitive strategy to rivals like Waymo and Lyft. It came in light from the feedback they got for women asking for it. But what demographic is this really impacting? Uber's battle with riders having harassment issue over the years is what ultimately led to this. On record, between the years of 2017 and 2022, there's been over 400,000 reports made, and out of those reports, Uber deemed only 3% of those cases as serious incidents. Now, this is accounting for Uber as a whole, not just domestically, so in the grand scheme of things, it does seem a little small. Currently, there's an ongoing litigation that has over 3,000 cases brought to light, with thousands more pending. These numbers do sound crazy, so I can see why they'd push for that. But with more cases coming to light, wouldn't that make women avoid Uber on both ends? Many female drivers have admitted that their acceptance rates are already low, and that this feature won't really help fix that. Same goes for women passengers. Many have claimed already that it's bad enough that they have to wait a while just to get a female driver. I mean, female drivers make up 20% of Uber drivers. That means for every 5 drivers, only 1 is a female driver. To put it into perspective, if a woman wants to wait for a woman driver, chances are the 3 closest Uber drivers are men drivers. Not certain, but it's about a 49% chance. If that woman is still waiting for a female driver, then technically that next pool of drivers would probably have a female driver. Approximately a 38% chance that there's a female in that group. But what could be even more annoying is that it says it's a driver on the app, but when it comes to pick you up, it's a male.
Makes it a little bit different than its competitors, so I think it's great.
I definitely think that's a good idea, especially seeing what's going around sometimes, happening to girls in Ubers. You know, it's just a safer option, I guess.
I'm conflicted. I think that, well, I do think at certain times at night it may be helpful to have a woman driver. I also wonder if it will affect the speed in which you can actually get a driver, which sometimes is more important, and like accuracy in terms of where you're going, just in terms of timing. So it's a good feature in theory.
But how are men feeling about this? Let me point out that Uber still pushed out this feature after 2 lawsuits by California male drivers who claimed that the feature violated the state's law, which bans gender discrimination by businesses. They mentioned that by offering the feature to riders, it's reinforcing the stereotype that men are more dangerous than women. Uber combated that this feature is for safety purposes, not to give one gender more opportunity than the other.
And male drivers are honestly the victims of some assaults from passengers. So it does a little bit to help, I think, but I'm not sure in practice how much women will actually benefit from it.
I think that if there were no men ever allowed on the platform, then you could maybe make that argument. But for it to be an option for users, I understand the safety feature and why that would be important to survivors of violence.
It's actually a good point. If there was no men on the problem, then it would definitely be a problem. But even if there aren't men being discriminated, it still raises the question, what would stop someone from wanting a religious-based option or a nationality-based option? Fortunately, I'm able to compare how a female could select a ride versus a male, courtesy of my relative. Now, I'm not sure how Uber's pricing works or if it depends on the account, but I went ahead and I had both accounts' pickup location be from the same spot and their destination be from the same spot. First thing I noticed was that Uber Black was surprisingly cheaper on the female account because of the discount. Another thing was that the woman's driver option was the same as UberX. I checked back a couple minutes later to see if that was a one-time thing, but no. Uber decided to price match their UberX option with the women's feature, and there's still a significant discount on Uber Black for the female account. Damn, I might have to use the women's account because of the discount.
Yes, I do. I think it's important to create that safe space for women.
I take like the Uber sometimes late at night after a party. I feel more safe being in a women's only Uber.
I think it's nice to have the option. I used to live in Asia and it was always nice to have like the women only subway car. Not everybody has to use it, but it's nice to have the option so everybody can feel safe.
I don't really have a preference between female and male drivers, so long as I feel safe in the vehicle. And
for me, sometimes seeing a woman driver, it feels much safer to be in a ride.
It'll help women feel safer, especially with the climate. There's a lot of people on the streets now that have mental illness that you just don't know. And I feel like women to women, we do feel safer in a pack.
Now, obviously, everyone has their own preference about the situation. Holistically speaking, I'm looking at it as, at what cost does this benefit Uber, the drivers, and the riders? Could this be a way they mitigate more harassment reports? But that only works if there's actually enough women drivers in the system. And if Uber backs this feature with real enforcements, better driver screening, and clear support when reports do come in. Could this be something rolled out globally later on in the quarters of 2026? The feature is offered to drivers in over 40 countries and riders in 7. If safety-based discrimination isn't a problem in most populations, I don't see why not they shouldn't expand it. There's a cascade effect going on with this feature. It could either fix the issues apparent, or it could put Uber back into a mixy, messy, legally situation with their market. This new feature intrigued me. Comment below and let me know your thoughts on what you think about this woman-only option.